Picture this, a young kid sitting in front of his trusty old computer, the monochromatic screen glowing softly in the darkened room, keys clacking as he types out line after line of code, the excitement palpable. Every time he presses the run button, it's a moment of truth. Will it work or not? That was me, a wide-eyed young boy, stepping into the infinite universe of software engineering. My journey started with a simple Hello World program. It was nothing fancy, just a plain text output. But to me, it felt like magic, like I was a wizard. And these lines of code were my spells. Fast forward a few decades, and here I am, a software engineer by profession, surrounded by algorithms, data structures, object-oriented programming, and a world where possibilities seem endless. And I'm thrilled to be your guide today as we explore some uncomfortable yet undeniable truths about this field. You will never know everything. The first time I tried to learn a programming language, I felt like a toddler learning to walk. I took a few steps, stumbled, picked myself up, and took a few more steps. I must have written and erased hundreds of lines of code during those initial days. With time, I got better. I thought I knew everything about that language, but then I discovered another language and another. And soon I realized that this tech world was like an endless ocean. With every new wave of technology, be it front-end development, back-end development, full-stack, cloud, machine learning, you name it, there is always something new to learn. I remember this one time when I was asked to work on a project involving a technology I'd never used before. I was a deer caught in the headlights, but then I took a deep breath, rolled up my sleeves, and dived into learning. It was challenging. Yes, there were sleepless nights, moments of frustration, and times when I wanted to give up, but I didn't. And in the end, when I saw my code working, the sense of achievement I felt was unparalleled. That's when I realized the truth. You will never know everything in tech, but every day you'll learn a little bit more. Imposter syndrome is real. I remember the first time I experienced imposter syndrome. It was during an annual performance review. I had worked hard all year, but when I sat there hearing my manager list out my achievements, I felt a pang of doubt. Did I really deserve this praise? Was I really that good? Suddenly, I felt like an imposter, like I had somehow deceived everyone into thinking I was competent. Imposter syndrome isn't just about doubting your abilities, it's about feeling like you're a fraud, like you don't belong. As software engineers with the rapidly evolving tech world, it's easy to fall prey to this feeling. But here's a story for you. One day I was discussing this feeling with a fellow engineer, someone who I thought was brilliant. And guess what? They had felt the same way many times. That's when I realized that imposter syndrome affects us all. No matter how competent or successful we are, it's a battle we all fight, and knowing you're not alone can be a big relief. Burnout is a big deal. A few years into my career, I went through a phase where I was working long hours, pushing myself to meet deadlines, and taking on more responsibilities than I could handle. I felt exhausted, stressed, and on the edge. I was heading towards burnout. The project I was working on was a challenging one. We were a small team, and the pressure was high. The code wasn't cooperating, the bugs were relentless, and the deadline was inching closer. It felt like I was in a pressure cooker. One day, I remember sitting in front of my computer screen, my eyes stinging from lack of sleep, my mind blank. I just couldn't code anymore. I had hit a wall. Burnout is a big deal in our industry. It's easy to get lost in the cycle of work, pressure, and deadlines, but we must remember that we are humans, not machines. We need rest, leisure, and a healthy work-life balance. After that incident, I made a promise to myself. I would take care of my mental health, not overwork, and ensure that I take the time to relax and rejuvenate. After all, a well-rested mind is a productive mind. Perfect systems don't exist. In software engineering, we strive for perfection. We aim to build systems that are error-free, efficient, and elegant. However, the reality is that perfect systems simply don't exist. I remember working on this project that seemed straightforward in the beginning. We had the requirements, we planned the architecture, we wrote the code. Everything was going smoothly. But then came the testing phase. We found bugs, some minor, some major. Each bug we fixed seemed to lead to another. It was like a never-ending maze. The perfect system that we had envisioned was riddled with issues. That's when I realized perfection is a noble goal, but it's not realistic. In the real world, software has bugs. Systems have inefficiencies. There are trade-offs to consider, from performance to cost to time. Our job as engineers is not to build perfect systems, but to build systems that work well, that deliver value, and that we continually improve over time. You need more than technical skills.